And welcome back, rugby fans, to Rugby411. As always, I'm your host. My name is Joshua Shibata, and this is our Week 3 MLR 2025 preview by Rugby411. We have 5 exciting games this weekend again. A game on every day, technically on the weekend, starting with Friday, Saturday, and then Sunday. Some really tasty matchups, especially the last two, which we'll get to the second half of this video. But still, some really exciting games with this one. Again, we're starting with Friday night footy. So again, if you're in my SuperBru Pick Em pool, make sure you get at least the first game pick done before Friday. The kickoff is going to be early for us West Coast fans. 4:30 p.m. kickoff time, Friday, February 28th, as the two of the 3 newest teams in the league face off against each other. The Miami Sharks taking on Anthem Rugby Carolina over at the Sportsplex at Matthews Park, which is not the same usual place that Anthem plays at, which is the American Legion Memorial Stadium. This one is a 5,000 seated soccer stadium that is home to the Charlotte Eagles, the Lady Eagles, and the Crown Legacy team as well. So I don't know if Anthem is using this because the American Legion Memorial Stadium is booked at this time, but so it is what it is. But again, should be an exciting matchup. Don't forget, all these games you can watch live or on demand on ESPN Plus, or again, if you can't watch it live, you have to wait 72 hours later for it to pop up on the Rugby Network. Rugby Network, absolutely free. Of course, ESPN Plus, you do have to pay a little bit for that. But still, phenomenal. Even to pay whatever it is for ESPN Plus to still get Major League Rugby and all the other stuff that you can get from ESPN Plus. So, again, going back, Miami taking on Anthem. Miami does have the lead in this series. These two teams played each other twice last season. Miami pretty dominant last season. Scores of 30-14 and 50-21. I do still believe, even after Anthem's trouncing by the San Diego Legion 54-5, I still believe Anthem will win at least 4 games this season. I'm sticking by that. This would be the closest game to possibly win, at least right now at this stage of the game of the season. But Miami is looking really good. I have a lot of faith in the things that Miami has done in the offseason, and I think Miami will continue their win after winning against NOLA to take the win against Anthem in this one. Then we move over to Saturday. Saturday, we have 2 games starting at 1 p.m. Pacific Standard Time, which kind of sucks, but it is what it is. You will first have San Diego going over to Old Glory DC Segra Field to take on Old Glory. In this rivalry, they've only played 4 times. San Diego is ahead 3-1. The only time that Old Glory has beaten San Diego was way back in 2021, the first time that these two teams have ever met. I feel San Diego is looking like a hot team. Now, granted, Old Glory does come off of a bye, and there is such a thing as having a little bit of an advantage when you're on a bye. San Diego does have to fly. Though I'm curious if San Diego is going to be flying from San Diego to get to DC, considering they just played Anthem in Charlotte. So maybe it might be smarter to have them stick around Charlotte or somewhere on the East Coast and then just go up to DC. Either way, there is some travel for San Diego, but again, San Diego is looking unbeatable. And I know there's a certain Rugby Morning host that is not going to like what I'm saying, but I think San Diego will take away the victory here against Old Glory to continue their dominant ways so far this season. And then we move on to another East Coast, West Coast, or Eastern Conference, Western Conference showdown. And NOLA Gold goes over to Zion Stadium to take on Utah in their home opener. Utah, again, looking pretty good with their win against Chicago. NOLA just coming up short against Miami. Again, I was kind of torn on this one because I didn't think Utah was going to be very good this season. I still am kind of sus about NOLA, but Utah has looked phenomenal, at least in one game. And that was in Chicago. Now Utah's home, Zion Stadium, beautiful stadium if you've never seen it on the Major League Rugby Network, on the Rugby Network, now on ESPN Plus. Definitely a stadium I would love to make a trip out to because the background with the mountains looks phenomenal. They have a very loud fan base, so I think it's very tough to play in Utah. I think in this one, Utah though, interestingly enough, in their matchups, Utah has never defeated NOLA in the history of their playing against each other. I think this will be the first time that Utah has ever beaten NOLA, and that's going to happen in this game in week number 3 of the season. And welcome back, rugby fans. Let's get to the rest of the games in week number 3. These two are honestly, they're going to be phenomenal games. Usually we have a game of the week. I don't think you can really truly choose one or the other as game of the week. So we're just going to say these are both the games of the week. A great way to end week number 3. First, you have a West Conference showdown between Seattle and Houston. Saturday, March 1st, 5 p.m. Pacific Standard Time, so a great way to end the Saturday evening. Seattle goes over to SaberCats Stadium to take on the Houston SaberCats. Houston, of course, just trounced LA. Sadly, at LA, Seattle coming off of a bye. These two teams have played each other 10 times. Seattle up on the rivalry, 6 wins to 4. Last year, they traded off victories, both teams winning at their home. This one, I was going back and forth a lot. Seattle, again, coming off of a bye. And again, there is something about coming off a bye that gives you kind of an advantage. I feel, too, with the way that Seattle got beat by San Diego, Alan Clarkey, head coach of Seattle, would not let that stand. I'm sure he would be really trying to drive into a point to Seattle. The only other, with the exception of New England Free Jacks, the only other two-time MLR champions. I don't think Coach Clarkey would want Seattle to have back-to-back losses to open up the season. Houston, though, looking very good, picking up where they left off as the number 1 team of last year. Yeah, this one it was really hard for me to choose. In the end, though, I'm picking Seattle to get the away victory in SaberCats Stadium. And then our second game of the week, Sunday, a marquee matchup, 11 a.m. Pacific Standard Time. This is a rematch from last season's Eastern Conference Final. The two-time defending and reigning MLR champions, the New England Free Jacks, go over to SeatGeek Stadium to take on the Chicago Hounds. Chicago Hounds, unfortunately, dropping a game to Utah in Chicago. Definitely will not want to have New England do that again, especially too considering New England, like I mentioned, this is a rematch of the Eastern Conference Final. They ended Chicago's playoff run with a 23-17 victory. In the overall rivalry between these two teams, including that Eastern Conference Final, New England is up 3 wins to 1 for Chicago. Last year, Chicago did win in New England. It was the first time that they beat New England. Again, unfortunately, New England struck back by beating them in the Eastern Conference Final. New England, again, coming off of a bye from last week. Chicago, pretty beaten up, I feel, against a very physical team like Utah. There's nothing after week 1 to say that New England has lost a step as a very dominant team. I feel New England, nice and refreshed from the early bye, will come into SeatGeek Stadium with a win. But man, if Chicago beats New England, what a statement that they make, taking down the two-time defending and reigning MLR champions. So again, those 2 games, very exciting way to end the weekend. I wouldn't be surprised if they get flips on my prediction. Let me know who you feel will win. And again, if you're in my SuperBru Pick Em poll, don't forget to get your picks in before Friday, at least for the Friday game. Don't miss out on that because, again, a lot on the line for our SuperBru Pick Em pool. You get a t-shirt of the MLR team of your choice plus $20, unless the pot gets a little bit bigger from any donations that anyone wants to make. But yeah, that's it for week 3. Again, enjoy all the rugby. You can watch it live in the United States or later on demand with ESPN Plus. Or if you're an international viewer, you can watch it for free on live and on demand on the Rugby Network. You could also watch it here in the States 72 hours after first broadcast on ESPN Plus on the Rugby Network as well. So again, thank you very much for checking out my videos. I appreciate your support as always, and I'll see you on the pitch.